How's it going, everybody? It's Planet Fame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. Here we are for Deadline Game Week 4. We made 2 free transfers. Didn't take any hits. Wanted to just do the 2 free ones. So we'll see what those are looking like. If you've seen the lineup preview video, which went out late last night my time, but not too long ago, probably like under 12 hours ago, you would have probably seen those changes, but we'll discuss those. We also have a bunch of tables from the Fantasy Football Scout members area, including the captaincy table, teams to watch, captaincy against, and penalty box threat. Take a look at those. And yeah, we'll take your questions in the chat as per usual. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So we also got the deadline timer up in the top right as well, as we normally do. We're just gonna make sure I have Twitter off to the side here, just in case. I don't think we're gonna get anything of note per se. But it's nice to have, just in case. Right. So we got it up on the screen. And we're all sorted. So, for those that did watch, let me just move out of the way of Ward. Don't want to block him. He's very important to the team. Although I haven't played him yet, but a lot of managers have, though. We made 2 free transfers. So, basically, if you saw our lineup preview, pretty much what I wanted was I didn't want Neto anymore. And I needed to basically make funds because I really wanted Gundogan. That was the main kind of kicker, or at least I wanted somebody in that 7.5, 8 million bracket that I could put in the team. So what could have potentially happened, I could show you, was, I mean, the most basic one would have been, instead of Gundogan here, I would have had Diaz instead. And instead of Trippier, I would have had somebody on the cheaper side. So would have probably been some type of 4.5 million defender. I'm just going to run through some defenders just so we can see who they are. I'll do 5 million. So Saliba is one. Veltman would have actually been one as well. Saliba we couldn't get unless we got rid of Ramsdale, so that could have been for -4, but that would have been fine. We could have still gone Ben White, and just because we could have gone Rico Henry, that wouldn't have been too bad with the fixtures that they have. Would have liked that actually. I could have gone maybe like a Leicester defender if I was crazy, but that wasn't really on the cards. A Newcastle defender like Sven Botman, so I could have gone cheaper than Trippier. So that's something that we could have done. But probably ultimately what I would have done is if I was going to go that low, I would have gone Zinchenko, who would have been like 5-1 maybe at the time. And then instead of Ramsdale, I would have gone for Raya, and I would have taken the -4. And the team would have looked something like that. Now, probably that looks better on paper. But I wanted to go with something different. So that's what we did. We went with something different. And it wasn't something different for the sake of being different. It was something different because I think that the players can do well. I think Trippier is playing well. I think Newcastle are playing well. I think he keeps clean sheet versus Wolves. I think, especially if Zaha is still injured, I think he keeps clean sheet here. West Ham have struggled. Bournemouth and Fulham should be fairly easy games. Brentford at home, they could definitely stop them as well. And then we could potentially look to move them on. I think they're really good fixtures for him. And then Gundogan, I see him as the captain. He's going to play a lot of minutes. I think City's next three are pretty straightforward, especially these two games here, Villa and Forest. Crystal Palace at home without Zaha is going to be should be easy as well. So 3 easy fixtures, and hopefully Gundogan plays in most of those as well. I'm going to kind of discuss why Gundogan would probably play more in the Premier League. And I would think it would be more to the fact that they need a bit more guile and craft than you do in the Champions League. Champions League, you can kind of just outpace teams. Like City, I think they play Sevilla as the first game on like September 6th, I want to say. I think that's a Tuesday. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's a week from Tuesday coming. You can just outpace them, basically. And so I think that's where they'll put in. Pep will put in the likes of Bernardo Silva. He'll utilize Phil Foden. Maybe he'll put in Calvin Phillips and Rodri to make it so that it's much more of a free role for De Bruyne. And then the Premier League, you got to be a bit more crafty, a bit more controlling with the ball, because just kind of outpacing teams with just possession. City have to slow it down a bit in the Premier League if they want to be able to carve teams open. So that was kind of my thought process. And we'll talk about the captaincy discussion in a bit. Let's see in the chat. So Iowa says, yo, how's it going? I'm planning on a -8. It's going to be tough if Saka and Liverpool defenses disappoint. Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Saka for KDB, Saliba, and Kukurea. Do I like that? Not sure if I like that. Depends on who the rest of your team is. But I don't think getting rid of Trent is the answer, potentially. Also, if you're thinking of doing a -8, which that would imply that you have 1 free transfer going into next week. Then, so that means you've used your transfer for this week. You're going to have 1 free transfer next week. Why not just wildcard it? If there's a couple extra players you want to get rid of because you're not fully sold on them, why not just wildcard? There's nothing wrong to say that wildcarding next week isn't, terrible. Like, because if you look at Liverpool, okay, Newcastle at home and Wolves at home, you'd think they should do well. But if they disappoint versus Bournemouth, maybe you can wildcard, get rid of Salah, make sure you have a plan to get him back in just in case. But you could also just roll as well, because remember, the next game week is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we're gonna have the games finish on Sunday. We have Monday, no games, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is game week 5 already. And you have to think now, barring the international break after game week 8, all the teams in Europe, so that's Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, United, Spurs, Chelsea, and West Ham as well, they all have a game and a midweek game from now until the World Cup, barring that 1 week. They do. So that's going to be mass rotation. Now, some teams like Arsenal will probably, since they're going to be playing, and Man United as well, they might find it a bit easier because they can just kind of ring the changes, because Europa League, they don't really have to try too much, whereas Champions League is a bit different. I think Chelsea probably got away with it probably the most. I think they can just, because I think their only real stiff team in their group is AC Milan. And they could, I think they have Zagreb and somebody else. City have, I think it's Sporting Lisbon or something. They could pretty much run out a B team and probably beat them as well. But Sevilla and Dortmund aren't going to be easy. So And you know Haaland's going to want to play against his former club. And Jamin and Jayan, I think that's how you pronounce it. Triple captain Salah this round. What do you think at Anfield? Something to prove from last round. Bournemouth not looking too good. No, I'd save it. I would save it. And the reason being is because there is potential later on for not only double game weeks, but I think based on the possibility of what James was talking about on Planet FPL. For those who don't watch it, shout out Planet FPL. Very, very, very good, fantastic podcast / YouTube videos and content. He was basically saying that there's a chance that like Salah could have Fulham and Bournemouth in a double game week if things go the way that they could potentially go. So you would just triple captain him there, basically. So yeah, I wouldn't be using a triple captain in a single game week. I wouldn't. I would save it, wait for the double game weeks. Because 2 games are better than 1. And Liverpool will more than likely be, hopefully for them, fully fit and firing come the end of the season, right? That's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking to basically get the best use out of your chip. Now, it's not to say that Salah couldn't do well this week and score a boatload, because if Salah gets what? A hat-trick against Bournemouth, which he's very capable of doing, then triple captaincy looks genius. But he plays that same team, albeit away from home, and then Fulham potentially in a double game week way later on. Again, this is not something that's set in stone, but it is a possibility. Then why wouldn't you just do it there? Just makes sense. Especially if you had the information that, hey, look, you captained him and he got a hat trick the first time as well. That would incentivize me even more to save it. You just have more information as well, right? Let's see. Just trying to see if there's anyone who's posted their teams. I did see that Wesley Fofana, for those that are interested, he actually just went down in price to 4.4 million. Just went down in price. Has gone to Chelsea. So we have an enabling defender on our hands at 4.4 million that could be starting week in, week out for Chelsea, which opens up some options. Because if, let's say, Perisic starts to get rotated, Chelsea's fixtures are really good. Apart from the Liverpool fixture, Man United's going to be tough, Arsenal will be tough, but they have really good fixtures all in around it. Fofana is someone that can just go bang straight in there if we don't want to deal with the rotation, and then we have money to go wherever we want. Let's say Gundogan becomes a rotation risk. We can just sort some things out that way. Make it nice and easy for ourselves. Go to an 8 million midfield that's going to start more often than not. Because I think that Saka won't be starting in Europa League very much. They'll kind of just bench him. They'll play the likes of Vieira. They'll play the likes of Smith Rowe. These sorts of players will play. Nketiah is another one. And maybe go from Gundogan up. This also means we can upgrade our goalkeeper. This also means that if we find a bit more funds, we can get Darwin Nunez. This also helps out as well. So if we did have Darwin Nunez, currently 8.9, we would just need to find 3 million somewhere. Where that 3 million is going to be, we'll have to figure it out. So if I didn't want Gundogan, and I wanted to go like 5-3-2, instead of Gundogan, I could go down to a 4.5 million midfielder. What I would probably do is just to make sure that I have at least a solid enough sub. Would be I could go like Dewsbury Hall as an example, and instead of Ramsdale, I could go like Raya, and then that team looks good. You know, doesn't have any Spurs, but it's got 3 up front, solid midfield. All of them potentially play. De Silva would be our weakest sub out of the 3. Dewsbury Hall would be fine to come in and potentially replace Trippier when he has a tougher fixture. So let's say like, you know, Man United away or Spurs away. If we kept him that long in 11 and 13, could Dewsbury Hall come in comfortably? Yes, he could. He plays Crystal Palace at home and he plays Wolves away. Perfectly fine. You know, if Fofana plays versus Spurs away. Oh wait, no, that's not his. That wouldn't be his fixtures. It'd be these ones. When he plays against Liverpool at home in Gameweek 8, you know, can Dewsbury Hall come in? Dewsbury Hall plays Spurs away, so probably not. What about Andres Pereira? Does Andres Pereira have a good fixture? Yes, he plays Forest away. So we could just play him. We'll play Reece James because you don't bench Reece James, basically. So yeah, that is an interesting development that we need to keep an eye on. I expect with Koulibaly suspended, they might want to rush Fofana in because he's just been fit. He's just told the club, sell me, basically. Same situation with Anthony at Ajax. Kind of on strike, kind of wants to be sold. Saka and Robertson are out this week if they don't perform. I think KDB is the best captain next week, so I want him. That makes sense. I understand that. But then, why are you going to take the -8 when you could just wildcard? Like, there's nothing wrong with wildcarding. I mean, if you have your full team and post it in the chat, we could take a look at it, and we could bring it up on screen, and we can ask questions, and we can see, you know, is it potentially worth just wildcarding? Save yourself the 8 points, right? Because even if Robertson does well, or Saka does well this week, right? You still want KDB next week, right? You probably still want KDB. So you might still do the moves anyway. Do you necessarily need the confirmation that, hey, look, Saka didn't do well this week and Robertson didn't do well this week because you want KDB? No, you can. I'm all for bringing in a player for captaincy, especially for a hit. I think it's fine. I just think that potentially you can regain some of that value back on the wild card. So what you can do is, if, you know, Saka does do well, right, but you still wanted to get rid of him because you know that Aston Villa at home, Man United away, couple of much, you know, it's not as easy as Bournemouth and Fulham, right? Or if you just don't like the way Saka's playing, like maybe he gets a return, but nothing crazy, then you could still potentially get rid of him. So yeah, let's put the team. I'm gonna put the team up on screen. So you have Sanchez again. Also, let me know how much you have in the bank, because obviously mine's gonna be different pricing as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold, you have Robertson, you have Cancelo, you have James, and then you have Nico Williams. Zero in the bank. Okay, at least just so I know. You have Salah, Martinelli, Saka. Presumably it's that a Gundogan. Pereira and De Silva. You have Holland, Jesus, and Archer. Okay, so not many changes off my team, to be honest. So ignore the 0.2 in the bank, minus in the bank. We'll pretend that's zero. So if you're potentially making wholesale changes and you want, you said you want De Bruyne, right? You potentially also want Cucurella, which is a Chelsea defender. And you want that third slot to be Arsenal. Are there potential changes you could make? Well, I think personally we could be moving to 3 forwards. So that's an option that potentially could be considered. So this Archer position could potentially be something to consider, right? If you want De Bruyne, and you're moving money from out of the back, and Saka's going to be the fall guy. Then you have De Bruyne. So currently we need to find 0.2 million with this current team. For what it's worth, by the way. So if you, I mean, I wouldn't be getting rid of Trent. So you would have to be downgrading this defender. I think this is where you could go like Fofana, potentially. Get ahead of the curve. Cheaper defender. I don't think you should have 3 premiums either. Personally. I think if you're gonna go for something like this, I think you get rid of Salah if you're gonna go for something like this, to be honest. The main reason is because, okay, rather than getting rid of Trent. The reason being is because I think Trent is just like your solid, you pick him every week defender, right? Salah is in your team for captaincy, right? Well, if next week you're planning on captaining De Bruyne in Game Week 5, next game week that is, it's middle of the week. Okay, well that alleviates Salah's captaincy versus Newcastle. Game Week 6 in your current team, who are you going to captain? Game Week 6, you're not going to captain Jesus, away to Man United probably. De Bruyne plays Villa. That's an option. Salah would play Everton again. It's a derby. Could be tricky. Haaland obviously has the same fixture. Reece James. West Ham at home, maybe? Probably not, though. So again, you're probably like Salah captain is still not necessarily guaranteed. What about Game Week 7? Gabriel Jesus, Everton at home. Looks nice. I like that one. De Bruyne or Haaland? They play Spurs. Tricky. Although it is at home. Salah, Wolves at home. Not bad, but Liverpool have struggled to break teams down and Wolves seem to be defensively solid. So your captaincy option there is covered again, pretty much, with Jesus. What about Game Week 8? Brentford away. Not a bad fixture for Jesus. Could be better, though. Wolves away from Man City. Could be tough. What's Salah got in Game Week 8? Ooh. Chelsea. Not great. What about Chelsea? Maybe like a Reece James captaincy. Ooh. Plays Liverpool. So again, you're looking at City and Arsenal. Again. Unless you want to go some offbeat pick for anything, right? So maybe this is something that you go for, and maybe in the meantime you can shift funds around to where you can get a more balanced team. What about is there potential rotation for Spurs for captaincy if we go to game week? What was it? Game week 8. They play Leicester at home. It's not terrible, but if their fixtures around this point aren't great, so basically City and Arsenal are the teams to be looking to captain, right? Let me adjust this back. There we go. My plan with the -8 is to wildcard when Liverpool get it together. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. But you can also just kind of keep De Bruyne there to get Salah back, basically, if you know what I mean. Right? So let's say, hypothetically, because remember, you do have transfers. Liverpool, I wouldn't want like triple Liverpool in this run. Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Brighton. No chance. I remember we have like, so for this little run here where they play West Ham, Forest, Leeds, and Southampton with Spurs kind of sandwiched in there. That's just a small little 5 game week spell where you could make the transfers going into game week 12. You can plan that, right? So if Salah's not going to be someone who you captain apart from game week 4, like we've already picked options where we could potentially captain somebody else. What about let's even check game week 9 just for argument's sake, right? Game week 9, De Bruyne or Haaland. Who they got in game week 9? Ooh, Man United home. Bit tricky, right? Jesus, game week 9. Spurs at home. That's just going to be a week of just tough games. What about Chelsea? Maybe a Reece James pick? Crystal Palace away? Not terrible. Spurs in game week 9. They play Arsenal away. So you're looking for a really like crazy pick there. So again, you probably just stick with your guns and you just go like Haaland at home to Man United or something like that, because he's going to want to prove a point versus the town rival, obviously. So, and even still, you still won't want to captain Salah. And the whole point of having Salah in your team is to probably have him as a captaincy option at bare minimum. He's at least one of 2. And the thing is, with Salah in your team, you're more incentivized to captain him because he seems to be the most consistent. There's going to be weeks where basically Salah's just sitting in your team, 13 million, and if you're not captaining him most weeks, then he's not very useful, to be honest. Whereas De Bruyne, you can get away with not captaining De Bruyne, and I think he's fine. Because his ownership is going to be lower, and that plays a part into it. Not all of it, but it does play a part into it. I think Salah is a good pick for the next few weeks, but not outstanding. Planning to keep. But the thing is, what you can do is, let's say we want to bring in Liverpool back in for game week 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 for the World Cup, and then we can really restructure things. Well, you can bring in potentially like Ivan Toney for 7 million. I mean, game week 5 up until game week 12, fixtures look pretty good. Like, they look really good. And conveniently enough, oh look, the fixtures get good for Liverpool around that time too. So you can have Toney as a placeholder. You can also get another midfielder that potentially works. Maybe on the cheaper side, maybe a bit more on the expensive side. It just kind of depends. If you wanted to get some Spurs coverage, you can go Kulusevski, and then you start to see how the team can evolve and that sort of stuff. And you could potentially just get players that are good value, that you will get points, you'll get rank increases from having in your team week in, week out, if you feel that Liverpool just aren't doing well. Because if you're shipping out Saka and Trent Alexander-Arnold, you might as well ship out Salah too, because Salah's not going to provide as much effective value as the likes of Trent will, and probably not Robertson either, unless you're captaining him. That's why he's so expensive. It's kind of how it works. I need to find 0.1 million in this team somewhere, or 0.3, sorry. So how I would do that, I don't know, but we can work it out. So yeah. Obviously, the only limitation with this team is that you're literally strictly limited to Jesus and De Bruyne / Haaland. But I mean, who's to say that you wouldn't captain maybe Kulusevski in a couple of games if you know he's going to start? Like, you see that, like, Kulusevski's bench doesn't play in this West Ham game, hypothetically, right? And then he plays Fulham at home, probably guaranteed to start. Bang. Differential captain right there. I just think consider the wild card. And then when it comes back around, right, when you know, Liverpool's fixtures are good, around like Gameweek 12, well, I mean, City's fixtures aren't great. They play Arsenal, Brighton's always tough, Leicester away has tended to be not great in the past. And then you still have Haaland for these fixtures anyway, right? So you could just go De Bruyne out, Salah comes back in, and then you could just downgrade, let's say, Tony, and you can go for Mitrovic or something. What does he have at 12? Well, he's got three pretty good fixtures. Then maybe you bench him for a couple. And 15. What were those fixtures again? They were 15, 16. You bench him for 15, 16. And then you play like Andres Pereira. Oh, wait, no, he plays on the same team. Never mind. You could play maybe Nico Williams in 15, 16. Who does he have? Well, he has Brentford and Crystal Palace at home. That seems perfectly fine. You know? I think there are definitely ways you can work that team using a wild card. And if you're thinking about getting rid of Robertson and Trent over Salah and keeping Salah in the team, especially for -8, I would consider potentially wildcarding and just basically restructure it. You could still keep Trent, who I think is probably the best long-term hold out of like the bigger picks. Especially if you're looking to captain De Bruyne or Haaland or whoever. You still have Jesus as a captaincy option. Salah's only good in your team, as I mentioned, when he's a captaincy option. So like this week, after this week, maybe after the Newcastle game, I can see myself getting rid of Salah. Until the Chelsea game. Like, get rid of him. Then wildcard him between 8 and 9. Bring him back from maybe Brighton at home. Yeah, he has Arsenal away, which is going to be tough because Arsenal are playing well. Man City at home is always going to be tough. But I can see myself getting rid of him. And I could bring in potentially bring in much more value picks, like the likes of Ivan Toney, who has, a very good run. Leeds, Southampton, Bournemouth, those are 3 very good fixtures in there. Maybe you get something at Crystal Palace as well. Could be good. Mitrovic, another one. Mitrovic, 6 and 7, not great, but 8 through 14, looking pretty good. Do I think Robertson will start this week? I do. I think Robertson isn't going to be benched. I think there's no reason to bench him. Does he get sub potentially? before 90 minutes? Yeah, probably. Because Klopp just has no other subs he can make apart from kids. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. If there's anything of note on Twitter. I don't see anything of note, at least. Yeah, I don't see anything at the moment. Simicast could get a start. He could. He could also start in the Champions League. I think Liverpool. I think I saw who was it? James Pierce. I think he posted. Let me just check. I just ran past it. I want to say he said that they have Napoli at home first. Oh, Napoli away. So maybe Simicast gets the start on the weekend. Or maybe Simicast plays the Newcastle game. Because Robertson, you're going to want him for Everton. And then maybe Simicast will potentially play the Wolves at home game too? I don't know. We shall see. Again, it's not like everyone seems to think that like the players are just like not gonna play, which they definitely will. Like Robertson, just because he has Simicast there, isn't gonna never play like a Premier League game like during the when there's midweek fixtures. Masudi says, "Hi pilot, hope all is good. I hope all is good with you as well. It's going good with me as well. Hope everyone's doing well." Hope everyone's FPL team's doing well as well. That's apart from IRL stuff, obviously. That goes without saying. FPL needs to go well, and then everything's good. Because if your IRL stuff's going good, and the FPL stuff's going good, then everything's good. Usually. Let's take a look at what should we take a look at? I think captaincy. We got the captaincy table. So, for those that don't know, this is the Fantasy Football Scout members area. It's fantastic. Check the link in the about section, or if you're watching this VOD later over on YouTube, check it down in the description. This is one of the custom tables that I use pretty much every week on the deadline streams for FPL, and we can see basically that the City guys are on top. So we can understand why I was saying that he wanted De Bruyne. Stats show that De Bruyne is creating chances, getting some shots. He's had a big chance himself. He's created 5 big chances, most on this table. De Bruyne is a good option. Personally, though, I think when we look at the captaincy against table, you know, XG conceded, Bournemouth don't come up, you know, on this table quite highly. They're actually in the 5 best defenses in terms of XG conceded. But if you look at goals conceded, they're top 4. So it seems like it doesn't, that to me would say that their goalkeepers maybe not doing as much, or maybe the the more difficult chances that they are giving up aren't actually that difficult, based on XG. Because if you have a breakaway 1v1, but you take a shot from, let's say I have a breakaway against Ramsdale. If I take a shot from here, but I'm 1v1 because Ramsdale's rushed out, that's not going to be a very high XG chance, even though I'm 1v1. So, I have 2 free transfers, 0.8 million in the bank, and I have no idea what to do. Ramsdale and Ward, Perisic, James, Trent, Cancelo, and Williams, Salah, Martinelli, De Silva, Diaz, Andreas Pereira, Haaland, Jesus, and Archer. Well, if you don't want to burn a transfer and you want to just kind of roll, I would, this is just me, I would just swap Archer to Stansfield from Fulham. Save yourself a transfer, figure it out going into game week 5, which is midweek, by the way, next week. Deadline for next week is Tuesday, sometime in the afternoon. That's what I would do. Just because you know Stansfield is probably going to at least play this week. So you have a third sub, let's say. So yeah. That's what I would do. Excuse me. And then next week you can potentially figure out like, oh, do I really want triple Liverpool now that they've had the Bournemouth fixture? Are they looking not great still? You know, that's what I would do, to be honest, because I think your team's fine. Me personally, I didn't have Diaz. Like, would I rather Diaz than Robertson this week? Probably. But I wanted to alleviate my transfers because I didn't want to make one potentially going into next week. And then the following week, in game week 6, come the weekend, I wanted to see what the rotation kind of did, because it looks like Haaland's going to get swapped out and all this stuff. Then I want 2 free transfers to be able to make moves, potentially. So yeah. Okay. Just gonna bring up a notepad. Here's the notepad. So here would be my top 5 options for captaincy. Hoping for a Robertson Hull? Yeah, it would hurt me because I got rid of him as well. Top 5 captains this week. I think it's close, honestly. I think Jesus could not necessarily beat Salah, because I think Salah versus Bournemouth, is potentially very good. But I think match him. So I think they're both pretty much on the same plane, as it were. I think Salah and Jesus are kind of almost equal in a sense, but if I had to pick like one to be slightly over the other, it would be Salah first. Now, if we look at the the stats table we have on the screen, I'll just move the notepad out of the way for a second. We can see that Jesus' stats in terms of goal involvement is higher. He has more shots inside the box. He's creating way less chances than Salah is, but he's got one extra big chance. His chances that he is creating are of slightly better quality. Salah's expected goals is nowhere near as high as Jesus. And also, another thing to note here is that with Jesus, 29 penalty area touches, and he's got 4 shots, the most in this table, inside the 6-yard box. Salah's only had 1, so Salah very rarely gets inside the 6-yard box to take a shot. Jesus is in there all the time. So that means that Jesus is getting a lot of close range efforts, which bodes well for him scoring more, because he's close to the goal. But personally, if we look at opposition, Fulham in terms of XG conceded 3.92, Bournemouth at 3.72. They're both pretty similar. But if we look at Bournemouth versus Fulham, headed goal attempts 7 versus Fulham's 4. Fulham have conceded more big chances than Bournemouth have. But Bournemouth conceded more attempts inside the box, and Bournemouth just concede more goals. So I think that definitely bodes well for Salah's prospects. Also, they're going to want to bounce back, and Liverpool are going to want to have a statement. If we also look at the team's attack, XG non-penalty for Arsenal 5.27. Liverpool's is 4.65, so not that much between them. What is that? Like 0.5, like half a goal expected between them. But Arsenal scored 9. Liverpool have only scored 4. So you're saying that Liverpool also have more shots inside the box, an extra 6. Big chances, Arsenal have had 2 more, which equates to probably the XG non-penalty difference. But Arsenal seem to be scoring from positions where basically you wouldn't book it down as a guarantee, right? Like Saliba's goal is an example. Liverpool ain't scored a goal. I mean, Diaz has scored the one of their 4 goals like that. Salah's was a good goal versus United, all things considered. Nothing really United could have done except maybe clear the set piece better. I don't know. Liverpool just need to get back into that groove where they're just constant harrying and constant pressure force the team to make mistakes. And I think this is just down to the fact that Mane is missing and their midfield is kind of decimated at the moment. When they don't have Thiago, they can't really unlock teams. When they don't have Keita, their press isn't as good as what it could normally be. And I think there's a slight decline in Jordan Henderson's game. At least from like an energy level point of view. And James Milner is obviously, what is he, mid-30s now? 35? Somewhere around there, 36 maybe? You can't be having him play week in, week out. I also think they missed Fabinho versus United as well. Not sure why he didn't play. And then the likes of, Curtis Jones is out. Oxlade-Chamberlain's always out. Harvey Elliott's kind of just your creator. He's not going to be your all-action midfielder. So that just leaves kind of questions there. And I think because of it, the defenses look shaky. Same thing with United. You could have Evra, Vidic, Ferdinand, and Gary Neville playing at the back. But if you have McTominay and Fred in front of them, who constantly keep losing the ball, unless you just bypass them, which is what Van Dijk did a lot last season and the season before, and was very successful with it, by just hitting the balls into the channels, which Mane was very good at, which Diaz is not. then you can use the midfield to kind of use all of their energy based on if Mane does lose the ball, you can get it back quickly and then Mane's in behind, or Salah's in behind, or Firmino's linking the play and then putting one of those two guys in behind, or Nunez when he's playing is in behind, or whoever, right? Those sorts of things they can do, and I think Nunez will help them because of his running in behind. Mane did that a lot, especially through the middle. So I think that could be an option for them. That being said, with the captaincy, I'm personally going to go with Salah, just edging it over Jesus. I think it's pretty close, though. I think those two are the clear standouts. I would then say Haaland is third. I would say then De Bruyne would be fourth. And then I would say Kane would probably round it out in fifth. That was pretty much what we discussed on the captaincy video as well. Stats-wise, Haaland's obviously first. Then it's De Bruyne. Then it's Jesus. Then it's Salah. Then it's Kane in terms of expected goal involvement. But I think if you have the captaincy on Salah or Jesus, I think you're looking good. That's why I have the captaincy on Salah, vice on Jesus. It could be flipped the other way around, to be honest. And I think I would be perfectly happy with both of those. But I think Salah's playing the weaker opposition. And if I'm not going to captain Salah at home to Bournemouth, when am I going to captain him, basically? It just doesn't make sense, right? Jesus will have captaincy options later on. Everton at home is a very good captaincy option. Aston Villa at home is not a bad shout as well. Where Salah's Newcastle could be tough. Wolves, they don't typically leak many goals either. And then you also have the option of Haaland against Forest. But again, that could be risky because of the fact that innately it's a midweek game, and Pep says when we play 3 games a week, he's not going to play all of them. So again, could be difficult. What we got? Just over 7 minutes according to the deadline timer. So yeah, that's kind of it for the captaincy discussion, to be honest. Got to make sure we stay hydrated. Right, so this is my team up on the screen. Let me just refresh it just to be sure nothing's changed and wonky. Here we go. So we got Ramsdale in goal. We got Trent. We got Trippier, newly acquired instead of Robertson. James, Perisic, Cancelo, Salah captain, Martinelli, newly acquired Gundogan over Neto, Jesus, vice captain, and Haaland. I think I'm going to stick with that bench. I like Pereira over De Silva, even though De Silva is an easier fixture. I think that De Silva is just... He was playing deep in the last game, and I think Everton are going to want to try to stay compact. Maybe Silva plays more of a deep lying playmaker. But I think all of these guys are going to play anyway, so I don't see any reason why Perisic wouldn't start. Trent, Trippier, James, Cancelo, Haaland, Martinelli, Jesus, Salah, they should all start for sure. Gundogan would potentially be a worry, but I'm not really too worried. I think 95% chance he starts as well. So... Mice Ball, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Let me just double check Twitter, see if there's anything else potentially going on here. Paul O'Keefe, who's someone who is a Spurs kind of expert, he predicts that the team will be unchanged. He still thinks Son, Kane, Kulusevski in the front line. Perisic is going to be in there. Emerson Royale, Sanchez, Dyer, Davies, Lloris, Bentancur, Højbjerg. All the normal suspects going to be in there. let's see. Do we have any leaked United team news? Could be some potential United team news, maybe, or Southampton at least. Don't see anything. De Silva's the problem for me, bench or no bench. I mean, if you have 11 better players, then just play them. It's like me, I have De Silva second on my bench, but I have obviously reasons why I would bench him. I sold Netzer this week as well. I just don't feel like Wolves don't excite me that they're gonna score, you know. Fixture wise, I think I have what? I have Perisic and Trippier on Sunday, but the majority of the players that everyone's gonna have is gonna be on today, Saturday. I mean, you could have 2 to 3 Arsenal, 2 to 3 City, 2 to 3 Liverpool, 1 to 2 Chelsea, maybe Brighton's goalkeeper, maybe Ward for Leicester as well. So 4 players in that game. Some people have Ivan Toney or Raya. Don't think many will have anything in the first game, to be honest, but there might be some kicking around there. But yeah, De Silva's just kind of an enabler. Like if you have a really bad fixture for a player, but most managers' teams right now, if you have, you know, we can count them. Double City, which is 2. 2 to 3 Arsenal, which is 4 to 5. 2 to 3 Liverpool, which is, what's that? You're looking at 6, 7, or 8. Chelsea, that's 9. You're already looking at 9 solid players, probably. 8, 9 solid players. And that's if you are on the lower end. So, yeah, I wouldn't stress too much. Just because he's a good fixture, you don't necessarily have to play it to Silva. He was playing a lot deeper last game, as I mentioned. But unless you have, like, if you have to pick between him and, like, Nico Williams as an example, Nico Williams plays Spurs at home. Not a great fixture. I'd probably rather play De Silva than Nico Williams, to be honest. Would I play him over Andres Pereira? Probably not, because I think Fulham could potentially get a goal at Arsenal. Whereas Nico Williams, I don't think he's going to keep a clean sheet versus Spurs, to be honest. Especially at home, I don't think it's in Forest's nature to kind of sit back at home. At least in my eyes. So, got just over a minute. You can see the deadline timer above me. Make sure your teams are locked in. I'm just going to check to see if there's any last news here. Mark Southerns has his wild card. He's got Raya, Trent Alexander-Arnold, James, Perisic, Walker, Martinelli, Salah. He went with Salah, unfortunately. Wanted to really go with something crazy, but yeah. De Bruyne, Rodrigo, Tony, and Jesus with Iverson, Mitrovic, Williams, and Andres Pereira. I think that was the team he showed off last night. So yeah. All right, we got 5 seconds left. Very close deadline stream, and it should be over. That should be the deadline. Let me just refresh it here. Is that deadline? Yep, they're bang on this week. They're bang on this week, as per normal. So before we sign off, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout one more time. As you saw in today's stream, we had a bunch of different tables. which come from the Fantasy Football Scout members area, powered by Opta Stats. Make sure to check them out. Link is in the About section if you're watching our stream here over on Twitch, or if you're watching over on YouTube with the VOD. We have the link in the description there below, and it's also over on our Twitter bio as well. So make sure to check out Fantasy Football Scout. It's fantastic. There's a bunch of different things in there that'll help improve and elevate your FPL game. Now, let's move over to the big screen. So that's going to do it for our Game Week 4 deadline. We'll be back. It's going to be a quick turnaround, very, very quick turnaround for the streams, because it's a Tuesday deadline for Game Week 5, which means that we'll be doing a preview stream on Sunday. So tomorrow, when all the games are done, we'll be doing a preview stream, or at least look to do a preview stream. And then on the Monday, we'll be doing a deadline stream. Depending on if things get busy over the weekend, I might just do the one stream on the Monday, and then premiere it on the Tuesday as well. So yeah, very quick turnaround. There's a lot of games in midweek, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Which is why you got to follow us, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Helps us out. Will help you out so that you can get notified when all the content comes out. So make sure to do that for us. But yeah, great stream today. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, make sure to check out all the socials. And until the next one, take care.